Welcome to the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo. Brought to you by Apple Care Immediate Care, the Emerald Princess, Island Automotive, Coastal Appliances, Somerset Mortgage, Bruce Kennedy Tire, Misty's Element Massage, and by Loco's Grill and Pub. Now here's the voice of the Glynn Academy Red Terrors, Kevin Price.
Welcome to the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I'm Kevin Price on location at Loco's Grill and Pub. We will be here each and every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. for the entire season. This segment of the Rocky Hidalgo Show is sponsored by Island Automotive, Coastal Appliances, the Emerald Princess, Somerset Mortgage, Bruce Kennedy Tire, Apple Care Immediate Care, Misty's Element Massage, and Loco's. And now here at the table with us is the head man himself, Coach Hidalgo. And Coach, welcome back for week 2 of our show. Last week we just kind of set the stage and brought everybody forward as to how you got here and how spring practice went and the summer went. But you got on the field again this past Friday night against McIntosh County Academy in the scrimmage. For what it was worth, the Red Terrors came out on top on the scoreboard 37-0. It was 30-0 in the varsity portion of the scrimmage. But let's start at the very beginning. I don't think anybody probably told you would have to wade through a pond that was half deep or almost knee deep to get out of your locker room onto the field for your first scrimmage.
Yeah, it was, we had a moat around the field, so it was, I got to do a little maintenance out there trying to find the drains, so I got to wade out there and look for the drains, but, it was one of those things. It was good. We had to learn to, you never know when you're going to show up on Friday night and you're going to have a gully washer like that, and you may have to delay the start, so it was good that our kids kind of were able to sit around and come out and respond and play well.
And, of course, just in case somebody didn't know, I think about 2 inches of rain fell in the area of the stadium from about 5 to 6:30, and the fans had to wade through at least ankle-deep water to get into the gates on the home side, and then there was nowhere for the water to go, so it made its way out onto the field, and there was a moat, as you called it, between the end zone and the locker rooms on that side of the field, and I saw you out there trying to do your best to get some of the water shoot away. But anyway, you got on the field. The field was a little bit damp, obviously, but the kids seemed to handle the conditions pretty good. But just talk in general about your impressions of the Red Terrors from the scrimmage, and we'll kind of break it down from there.
We did some good things. I think we had some enthusiasm. I think our kids played with a lot of enthusiasm. They were excited to play somebody else. We have a lot to work on after watching the tape. I think one of the things I think we're going to have to learn with our kids is how to play harder than they played before. We got a decent effort, but it was inconsistent. And I think one of the things we're going to have to learn is really to go out there and lay it on the line. And we have kids, I think, conserving energy, and we can't do that. I was pleased with the result of the game. I think we did a lot of good things, but after watching the tape, we've got a ton to work on. We're a long way. Anybody who looks at the score or was at the game and thinks it's a finished product, we're mistaken. We've got a lot of stuff we've got to work on.
Well, last week you did touch on the fact that you wanted to play hard, play with enthusiasm, and come out healthy. You touched on 2 of the things, and maybe you weren't totally satisfied with those first 2 things, but did you get out of there healthy as well?
Yeah, we did. We did not have any major injuries. That was good. We had enthusiasm. Our effort could have been better at times, and we're going to address that on Monday.
And just to talk about things, I guess, from an offensive standpoint, I think you went about 77 yards on your first drive, and Garrison Hurd had a touchdown run, I believe, of about 4 yards on 4th down, I think it was. He had another touchdown run. DJ Dallas threw a long touchdown pass. Anyway, you scored 4 times offensively and also got a safety out of your defense. But just start with the offense. What was your kind of overall impression?
I think our ability to get up and lined up and snap the ball was good. I think we did a good job. We've been focusing on our tempo, and we snapped a play about every 15 seconds, and that's kind of where we wanted to be. We wanted to be under 16 seconds with it. So that was good. I was pleased with that. I think we did we had some guys that played really hard and really well. I think we had Troy Rogers was a kid that played really hard. I think Garrison played hard. He put the ball on the ground twice, and that was one of those things we got to work on, ball security. Marcus Maxwell, a sophomore who's playing for us, really did some nice things. He's a kid that people are going to hear about moving forward because he's probably going to be a big-time player one day. I think we caught some. I saw Adrian Cross and DJ Dallas made some catches, and it was good to see them make catches and make some plays with the ball in their hands. The flip side of that is, we cut some routes off short. We were a little lackadaisical on some of our routes. Some bad route running in general. We didn't block well on the perimeter. And those things have got to be addressed if we expect to, beat Wayne County this week.
All right, you're listening to the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo here on the Bishop Media Sports Network. And, Coach, let's flip sides of the ball. Defensively, you obviously are going to the 3-4. Just me looking at it kind of in general terms, I was impressed the way your defensive line seemed to be performing. And, I know that's an adjustment for them, but you got the big stout kid over there on one end, and he looks impressive just in uniform, much less once you snap the ball and let him get at the quarterback. But I think in a real situation, if y'all would have live contact on the quarterback, you might have gotten several sacks in the game. But anyway, just obviously McIntosh didn't score, but just talk about the way your defense played.
I think we did a lot of good things. One of the things we've got to correct, we've got to play with better pad level. I think our fits and finishes on the ball were not real good. We talked about that last week. Our tackling, we missed some tackles there. We ran to the ball really well defensively. I was pleased with that. I think we got tired. We didn't play a whole lot of snaps defensively, so we got to address some of the conditioning there. And one of the things we really got to address with our coaches, we're running so many plays offensively, we're going to have to spell guys and sub more players. So you'll see us in the future really spell a lot of players and play a lot of guys over there on the defensive side of the ball to make sure that we don't get tired. I think our secondary did some good things. I think we kind of broke on the ball well. And tackle when the ball got loose. But I think it's going to be important moving forward how our defensive line really does a better job of focusing on the fundamentals of defense. We kind of played hard and we got after some things, but we didn't do some fundamental things. I was disappointed that we worked real hard at practice, and I think our players will understand that, and they have a good idea about the big picture of what we're trying to do defensively, so I think they'll work hard to correct it.
And then in the format of the scrimmage, y'all were going to go varsity on varsity first two quarters, and I thought the third quarter y'all were going to do some situational type things. It looked like maybe y'all changed it up and just got some action going on both sides of the field.
Yeah, we had intended to split the field and have the young kids play on one side. We did that. Offensively, we got enough plays and saw enough situations that we were good offensively. McIntosh wanted to run their offense. They played their first offense. And we got a chance to play some younger players or some inexperienced players versus them over there. So that was good for us because we got a lot of guys who would not have normally played on tape, and we're going to need some of those guys.
And just go back to the weather. It almost goes without fail that it's probably going to rain on scrimmage night or season opening night. And usually the lightning is the bigger factor more than the rain from a safety issue. But having to wait around and stuff like that, at the end of the day, that was maybe decent preparation for something you possibly could face next week.
Yeah, look, we can't. The only thing in life we can control is, our effort and our execution as football players. And we want to focus on those things. The rest of it, we've just got to move on and stay focused on the game. And if we get delayed by 2 hours, we roll back out there and get after it.
All righty. Well, there's more to come here on the Rocky Hidalgo Show on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Right now, though, these words from our sponsors.
For all of your automotive repair needs, visit Island Automotive, 1950 Demery Road, across from the fire station on St. Simon's Island. They're a family-owned and operated business that has been delivering great service not only to St. Simon's, but to all of Southeast Georgia for over 25 years. Your complete auto repair and auto detailing facility. Online at islandautomotivecenter.com or at 912-638-0888. And go Terrors! Coastal Appliances is your one-stop shop for Whirlpool washers and dryers, Whirlpool refrigerators, and so much more. Coastal Appliances offers free delivery and service after installation and have also been in business for over 30 years. 4727 Altama, next to Sonic, and on the web at appliancesbrunswickga.com, or give them a call at 912-267-0132. Coastal Appliances, Glynn County's only specialty appliance store.
Hop Hop aboard for Texas Hold'em tournaments, roulette, poker, lots of slot action, food, music, and more. Labor Day weekend, Sunday, August 31st, 7 p.m. Cruises depart from Brunswick, Georgia. Call 800-842-0115 or visit EmeraldPrincessCasino.com. Must be 18 years of age and present a government-issued photo ID to board.
Welcome back to the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I'm Kevin Price. We're here on location live at Loco's Grill and Pub on St. Simons. This segment brought to you by Island Automotive, Coastal Appliances, and the Emerald Princess. And Coach, here in segment number 2, I figured we'd maybe just kind of talk about the team in general and some of your personnel. And I guess let's start on the offense side of the ball. Of course, Zach Lamper returning the quarterback. I thought we saw the other night in the scrimmage, good live arm, maybe a little bit of problems with accuracy the other night. I know y'all tried a lot of deep routes, and sometimes he threw them underneath, sometimes he overthrew some guys. I know those are correctable things and things you can work on, but just talk about his development as a quarterback since you've been here.
Well, you know, when we arrived here May 1st for the first day of spring football, Zach was as raw as you could get from a quarterback standpoint. He's improved a ton. He's throwing the ball really well. His footwork's getting better, you know, and he hasn't thrown a lot of balls in games, and I think it's evident, you know, from Friday night. I will say this, I think he's throwing the ball much better. He held the ball a little bit, and that's, you know, very common early in the season for stuff like that. I think you'll see people will see him, will go out and probably and throw the ball on time moving forward, and as he improves, I think our offense has a chance to be really, really dynamic.
And talk about Garrison Hurd as a running back. It looks like, I know maybe y'all didn't show a whole lot. It looks like y'all did bring a lot of different backs in there, but I guess is he going to kind of be a workhorse kind of guy for you guys?
Yeah, you know, we'll rotate backs. We don't believe in just wearing a guy down, so we will use 2 or 3 backs in there. Same thing at wide receiver. We'll probably play 9 to 10 wide receivers. So we'll roll those guys in there. Hopefully, when guys get tired, they get injured. We want to keep them from getting tired.
But we'll talk about just talk about Garrison Hurd. I guess this is the second year as a starter, started as a sophomore, but he's another kid that looks good in the uniform. But it looked like he was running hard inside between the tackles. Just talk about his abilities.
Yeah, you know, Garrison's a tough kid. He's a great kid. He really is. He's a great kid, runs the ball really well. You know, he does you know, a lot of people don't believe or mistake how quick he is. He's a little faster than people give him credit for. Does a great job of reading the inside zone, puts his head down, and really runs the ball well.
And then you mentioned some of the guys that are out playing wide out, and it looks like you got several targets. You mentioned Adrian Cross, DJ Dallas. I guess LaShawn Clark's out there as well. But anyway, probably maybe 7 or 8 guys you can throw the ball to. I guess as a coach, are you comfortable with all those guys catching the football? And I guess is Lamper comfortable with them as well?
Yeah, he's going to have to be comfortable because they're all going to play. They, yeah. You know, we've got to improve on that, and that's one of the things. You know, they're coming from an offense where we didn't throw the ball a whole bunch, and it was very a ground-oriented offense, and now we're throwing the ball a bunch. So things like route running and catching the football, we're improving on those things. You know, a drop ball in this offense is like a turnover, so we can't have drops. And a lot of the things we're doing offensively in regards to our passing game, it's depending on what the defense gives us. So our receivers and quarterback have to recognize coverages and alter the routes depending on the coverage. And we were kind of hit and miss on that Friday night. I mean, that's expected because it was the first game to do those things. And I think our kids did a lot of good things at wide receiver, but we have a lot of stuff we can improve on. And really, at the end of the day, our fortune will depend on how willingly they accept those things and embrace the fact that they can be really good if we change. You know, we change some of our habits.
You're listening to the Rocky Hidalgo Coaches Show here on the Bishop Media Sports Network. And, Coach, just to continue with the offense, you mentioned last week about how the biggest learning curve on the team may be taking place in the offensive line, some of the things you were asking those guys to do. If you will, just kind of maybe touch on how you thought they performed the other night under fire, and mention any guys you think are kind of making a step forward at this point.
Yeah, you know, I think our center, Mike Williams, did a really good job at times. Marcus Maxwell, our right guard, is a kid that people and fans in the community should really keep an eye on because he has a chance to be a great offensive lineman and probably played the best of our guys up front. We've got some stuff to work on up there, as we do everywhere. But all in all, we kind of picked people up when we were given twists and pressure and stuff like that. I don't think we finished blocks nearly as well as we need to. I think we played high. I think every coach in America will tell you right now, everybody's playing high. So we've got to get in the chutes and get on the sled and really work that aspect. We did a lot of good things. I think Kyle Larson did some good things as the night went on. Frank Farrell did really well. Cameron Tresvant, who was a week ago was a tight end, we had some injuries. He filled in an offensive tackle for us with 2 days' notice. I think he did a lot of good things, showed a lot of athleticism, and really get out and competed. But fundamentally, there's some of our steps. We didn't take the right steps sometimes. Some of the little things, our hand placement wasn't great. We turned our bodies when we shouldn't have. There's a lot of little things that weren't seen that against better opponents will show up over the course of a football game.
And then just let's talk about what you were doing offensively, just as a philosophy, I guess. A lot of people, when you say spread offense, they do think that means 4 and 5 wide and slinging around everywhere. But a lot of teams are sometimes 50-50 run and pass out of the spread. And I think I've read in the past this summer where you're going to kind of take what the defense gives you. Some weeks you might run more, some weeks you might pass it more, or what have you. Just talk about y'all's philosophy out of the spread attack.
I'd love to line up and run the ball 100 times in the game, but that's not going to be we're not going to have that option. So, really we want to do what the defense, we want to take what the defense gives us. If they give us a 7-man box, we're going to have to throw it out on the perimeter and throw it down the field. If they give us a 5-man box, we have to run the ball, and we have to make decisions on the fly in there, because what happens is those guys aren't just going to stand there. They're not going to be statues. They're going to move around. They're going to move guys in and out of the box. So we've got to figure out what they're trying to do and attack them where they're not, I guess, at the end of the day. But we feel real comfortable with our running game. Our ability to run the ball is going to be good this year, I think, as our offensive line improves. I think we have skilled players on the perimeter that can make plays with the ball in their hand. Now, I think Zach's really going to come around as quarterback. I've seen a ton of improvement with him, and I think as his timing gets better, we're going to create a lot of big plays in the passing game. And those are a lot of what ifs, but I do think those things will come together because our kids genuinely want to do that. They want to be good at this.
All right, and let's just kind of flip sides of the ball again. Defensively, obviously, you're introducing the kids to the 3-4 look, and maybe a lot of high schools are going to that more, and I think maybe you're doing the same thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's to get more of those linebacker type kids on the field. Everybody's not always blessed with the big defensive linemen, particularly depth-wise. Is that kind of your approach to that?
Well, the game has changed. I think, I was a 4-3 guy. I went to the 3-4 about 6 years ago because the game started to change as more spread teams, more people adopted the spread offense, and they were running more plays. Those defensive linemen started to get tired, and you needed more second level players. And those guys are more interchangeable. It's easier to substitute a defensive back for a linebacker than it is a defensive back for a defensive lineman. It changes everything. So that's one of the reasons we went to the 3-4, because we felt like it enabled us. We could have more pieces to fit in the puzzle, and we didn't require as many big kids, so we would have more depth on the defensive line, and that's something we're searching for right now. The other thing is the ability, you have kind of more moving targets that you can attack the offense with. In the 3-4, there are 9 potential blitzers when you line up and go play football, and that's the other thing we want to keep. We want to be aggressive. We want to be offensive on defense, and that's one of the things we're trying to do over there. So it gives us a lot of opportunities to move people around, flexibility in our adjustments, but really a lot of guys that we can pressure the quarterback with and fit in against the run.
All right, well, Coach, stay with us. We want to continue with the defensive talk, and also we'll set the stage for next week's opener against Wayne County when we come back. We'll be right back with the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network.
Relax. Misty's Element Massage specializes in helping you do just that. Located at 138 Village Market on St. Simon's Island, Misty's Element Massage offers deep tissue massages, therapeutic massages, scrubs, creams, body wraps, and much more. The perfect gift for that special someone, not to mention sports massages for that aching muscle. Schedule your appointment today at 912-224-0198 or on the web at mistyselement.com.
Bruce Kennedy Tire is your hometown destination for tires. Michelin, Goodyear, and all the brands you trust. But don't let the name fool you. Bruce Kennedy Tire, located at 2928 Norwich Street, does more than just tires. Brakes, alignments, repair work, and more than I can mention. Bruce Kennedy is locally owned and operated, so you get the best service in Glynn County. So give Bruce a call at 912-264-6578. Bruce Kennedy Tire, a name you can trust. Get affordable health care when you need it. At Apple Care Immediate Care, our team of compassionate healthcare providers is dedicated to treating each patient with the highest standard in healthcare. Located at 1111 Glencoe Parkway, Apple Care is open Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m., Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Apple Care welcomes all walk-ins from pediatric to adult ages and accepts most insurance plans. Visit us at applecaredoctors.com and like us on Facebook.
Happy Friday, sports fans. This is Paul Sanders with Somerset Mortgage, and I want to remind you one of the best ways to build wealth for you and your family is to own your own home. It's not easy to save money, but the smart folks at Somerset Mortgage know how to help you buy a home with little or no money out of your pocket at today's great fixed rates. To find out if you qualify today or what it takes to qualify tomorrow, call us at 638-2020. We are locally owned, so when you come to Somerset, you'll know you're home. That's 638-2020.
It's time to get together with friends and family to enjoy great games, great food, and a great atmosphere at Loco's on St. Simon's Island. Loco's has something for everyone with their classic sandwiches, fresh salads, and specialty burgers. And Loco's award-winning wings, from traditional boneless or slow roasted, means it's time to get your wings on. With football season starting, don't forget to catch the game at Loco's too. Be sure to like Loco's on Facebook to keep up with the latest. Have your friends meet you at the Moose.
Welcome back to the Glynn Academy Red Terror Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. I'm Kevin Price. We're live on location at Loco's Grill and Pub on St. Simon's. This segment brought to you by Misty's Element Massage, Bruce Kennedy Tire, Apple Immediate Care, and Somerset Mortgage. And Coach, in our last segment, we were talking about the defense overall, but let's start on the defensive front with the three down linemen. I thought they did some impressive things the other night. Just talk about the guys you got up there personnel-wise.
Yeah, we've, obviously everybody talks about Cordero Stout, but we have our nose guard, Anthony Washington, is playing as well as anybody on the field. And then Dexter Roberson is a kid who's a junior who has got big-time potential. He really does. Boy, he's a kid that can really change direction. I think he's a guy that's going to really shine over the next 12 months, 14 months for Glynn Academy. Great kid, works hard, and has got a ton of ability. One of the things that we're doing is trying to find some depth there. We move Jack Terry. We rotate him from outside linebacker to defensive line. But we really need to find another nose guard and defensive end to kind of roll those guys in there and give some guys a break.
And let's go to the, I guess we'll do the linebackers and the secondary as a whole. But you talked last week about guys having to learn to play a lot of man coverage and so forth. Just in the last week and in the scrimmage the other night, McIntosh tried to throw it around some too. Just talk about the way those guys performed and anybody that's kind of standing out.
Well, I think obviously our safeties, Morris Demery and Adrian Cross, have done a nice job back there. And we did some good things in the secondary. I think fundamentally we got a little high sometimes and we crossed our feet up a few times. But for the most part, we played with good effort back there and leveraged the receivers real well. We've got to do a better job of kind of getting on the hip and pinning the hip and running to cover some. Sometimes we peek for the football before it's thrown, and that gets us in trouble. But I think we have the potential to be very, very talented, very good back in the secondary. Just like on the defensive line, a lot of those guys are playing on offense, so we have to develop some depth, and so you'll see some guys who are going to have to roll in there. Kayshawn Walthour is a kid who's a safety who's really learning the position, has a tremendous potential, but he's a work in progress back there. We've got a few other guys back there. Devin Peacock is a guy who's playing corner. He's just a sophomore, very athletic kid. He's learning all the ins and outs of playing that position, but he's a guy that's going to have to come out and play some football for us.
And you mentioned some guys, Adrian Cross, I guess DJ Dallas, people like that, possibly playing on both sides of the ball. Are you big on guys playing both sides of the ball, putting your best athletes on the field, or do you try to get them to specialize on one side or the other?
Well, I think it'd be great if I had enough players to do that. But, in what we do, running as many plays that we run, we don't have 10 receivers, 11 receivers, and it's just hard to do that. So, I think that's tough to do that. I think they're in a perfect world, we would do those things. We would two platoon. But we're just not there from a depth standpoint. We can't do those things. So, the problem with two platooning is when a guy goes down, generally your best player, the next best player at that position, playing on the other side of the ball. So it might not be your second best safety, I guess your third safety. It might be your fifth or sixth safety. And that's when I think you lose games when you get a guy injured. So we're trying to develop some depth so help us out in those situations.
All right. Well, this is the Glynn Academy Coaches Show with head coach Rocky Hidalgo on the Bishop Media Sports Network. And, Coach, of course, the season opener against Wayne County coming up this Friday night, 7:30 at Glynn County Stadium. I know you probably know what Wayne did last year with a deep march in the playoffs. Of course, they had a senior-laden club with a great quarterback, a good wide receiver who just gave defensive teams nightmares, and pretty good defense, too, with some guys that went on to play at the next level. But I guess they're kind of starting over as well, of course, differently from you, but their coaches in place. But just talk about what you know about Wayne County and the challenge they're going to present this week.
But, they've just on film, they have a lot of really good-looking kids. They are big across the fronts in the secondary at wide receiver. They've got a wide receiver. If he was at our place, he might be the starting tackle. He's a big, good-looking kid out there. But they're very talented. Coach Grooms does a nice job with this program. You can see watching 3 years of tape on him that he has an idea of who he wants his identity to be. And he's going to kind of stick close to that. And they're going to get good at a few things and win games with it. His track record is he's developed, a great program there, and his kids play really hard. I think his offensive line play, they've got big kids up front. It might be the best offensive line that we play all year. There are some big, thick kids up there. Those look like Coke machines. When they walk out, the field's going to tip down toward their side. And they're like that on the defensive line. They're a really impressive group of kids. So, the first thing we're going to have to do is they do a great job running the football. They do a great job in their gap schemes, sealing off the defensive linemen and getting pushed down the field. We're going to have to play great up front. I talked to our defensive line coach multiple times today and kept telling him if his guys will do what they're supposed to do what they're coached to do, that we have a real chance to win this game. And it's going to start right there. If they control the lines of scrimmage, we're going to be in trouble all night long.
And just talk about what they are doing offensively. I think last year, if I'm not mistaken, they were a spread-type team. Are they still doing the same kind of stuff?
Yeah, they in some ways they're a little similar to what you might see with Auburn with kind of the sniffer back, what they call that guy, that H-back that kind of hugs in there. So they're very similar to them in some ways. They don't do quite as much read with the quarterback, but they're going to run power and counter with him and run the zone with him, and then try to get out and throw some boots and stuff, and they'll run a little option. They've got a quarterback that's moved in from Virginia. I've seen on tape is a very talented passer and is a really good athlete. So I expect they'll try to throw the ball down the field and get some big plays against our coverage. And then the other thing, they're going to try to get the ball out on the perimeter and pitch the ball and get a block on our secondary and create some big plays in the option game. So we're going to have to play well in the secondary. We're going to put pressure on our secondary to come out there and perform. They're going to have to get off blocks, and they're going to have to cover down the field.
And what kind of scheme do they play on defense?
Defensively, they're a four-down scheme. We've seen them kind of over the last couple of years. They've been some four-down. They've been some three-down lines, some odd stack. What they do against us on Friday night will be interesting. Traditionally, they've been mostly four-down against us. But we've kind of changed the offense a little bit. Their defensive line is very impressive. They've got two earth movers in there on the interior of the defensive line. They're going to be tough to get hats on and get push on. And if we want to run the football, we're going to have to knock them off the ball. And it's a tall order. Our kids are going to have to play well in there.
And Coach, this is maybe not the rivalry that Brunswick is, which you'll play in week 2, but these two teams have been playing each other for a long time, even back in the days when Wayne County was Jessup High School. And I think back when Glynn won the 1964 state championship, they were the only team to even come close to Glynn. They tied them, and that's a big bragging point in Jessup. So if you ever hear that, that's where that comes from. But will you mention that whole rivalry aspect at all this week, or just the fact that it's week 1, guys, let's go play?
Nah, I want to win all the games, and they're all important to me. And I know Brunswick's a big game, and Ware's a big game, and Camden's a big. They're all big games. I mean, and in the region, there are no off weeks, and to me, they're all rivals because I want to beat all of them. That's kind of how it is, and we're going to try to go focus on Wayne County, and we want to beat them because they're the next team on the schedule, not because of the history there. But that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to show up and play hard.
All right, Coach. Well, once again, we appreciate you being here, and good luck in coaching the guys up this week and getting them ready. And hopefully we'll be here next Sunday night talking about a victory in week 1.
Thank you.
All right, well, thanks to all of you for joining us on the Glynn Academy Coaches Show as you hear the fan base here getting riled up for the 2014 season. We've been here on the Bishop Media Sports Network. Come out next week to Loco's Grill and Pub. Join these fine folks over here on St. Simon's Island. We'll be here every Sunday night at 6:30 for the Rocky Hidalgo Show. I'm Kevin Price signing off. Thanks, everyone.